Thank you. Well, thank you very much. I want to just bring right up, thank you. I want to bring right up two people who are in the film. One of whom you probably know very well, Professor Mark Jacobson. Come on up. And someone who we're going to all talk, and there are more panelists, but I just want to introduce the people who are in the film. Someone who hopefully you'll get to know, who was the sanest person I met in Pennsylvania state government, who has now signed on as Gasland campaign director for California, Mr. Lance Simmons. Come on up here. So we'll be on hand to answer questions, and I wanted to turn the emceeing duties over. So come on up.
So we were also invited two of our other panelists, which are Brianna Warnick of NRDC and Dr. Anna Mikulak of the Carnegie Institution for Science here at Stanford. And we would also like to invite Lee, who is the Grassroots campaign director for the Grassroots for the Gasland screening tour.
Okay, sorry. I think we need one more chair. So, as I mentioned, we've been on tour with Gasland all throughout the United States of America, and Gasland 2. I did 250 dates with Gasland, and now this is just the beginning of this process for Gasland 2. And obviously, this is a brand new issue in California. Not oil drilling is not brand new, but this massive shale play that's taking place all across the state. We've been encountering communities who are directly in the path of the frackers. And you're right here with us, so we'd like to take questions and answers, obviously. What I'd like to do, though, is maybe all these brilliant panelists can just speak a little bit about where you're coming from with this, by way of introduction. Is that all right? Can we start with Mark?
So I'm Mark Jacobson, a professor of civil and environmental engineering here at Stanford. And we've been developing clean renewable energy plans as part of our work, looking at the causes and solutions to global warming and air pollution and energy security. And one of the recent plans that we developed was one for New York State. In the movie we talked about kind of a global and U.S. energy plan, but we have a plan for New York State, and in fact, next week we're meeting the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, on Wednesday to discuss the alternative to natural gas hydrofracking, which is wind, water, and solar power, and how to repower the state of New York with this type of energy. And we've been developing a plan for California as well, and also we're working on other states and countries. And not so much because we're anti-this or anti-that, it's more that we think that there is a clean, renewable energy future possible through science. It's based on science, and over many years, in fact, almost a couple decades now, of studying what are the best solutions to the pollution and climate problems. And we do find that the biggest bang for your buck is with clean and renewable energy sources, and that's really how we should go forward. And as I said in the movie, it's natural gas, coal, and oil. These are just not necessary anymore. And that's just a scientific fact. It's not an advocacy fact. It's just based on the science that has been done over the last couple decades.
My name is Lance Simmons. I've spent almost 40 years in public policy, politics, and government. And for 8 of those years, from 2003 to 2011, I served as a senior advisor to the Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell. And during that time, I got to see firsthand, up close and personal, fracking literally and figuratively explode across the state of Pennsylvania. Now, it is very rare, in fact, almost never happens, when our leaders and our citizens get an opportunity to actually see the future. And what Josh has done here is give you a glimpse of what your future could look like. And you have to ask yourselves, and you have to ask your legislators and your elected leaders at all levels of government, is fracking our future? And I think that if you do even a precursory examination of this issue, you will conclude it is not. So this is an excellent opportunity. It's an unprecedented opportunity for you to get engaged and help shape a future which does not rely on fossil fuels and is frack-free. Thank you.
I'm Brianna Mordick. I'm a staff scientist at the Natural Resources Defense Council. I'm a petroleum geologist by training. I came to NRDC from the oil and gas industry. So my role there is to help them as a technical expert to look and try and find solutions to the environmental impacts of upstream oil and gas production. NRDC is involved in issues around oil and gas drilling and fracking around the country, both at the federal, state, and local level. And recently we are beginning to engage with California. If you've seen recently, California has released what they've called a discussion draft of new regulations for hydraulic fracturing in California. And so we're beginning to have discussions around those. Probably not surprising that it's very limited and we think doesn't, of course, go nearly as far as these regulations need to go. And there are also a number of bills that have come out recently that we're in support of for a moratorium on fracking in California until the science is in place to make these decisions the right way.
And hi, I'm Anna Mikulak. I'm a faculty member in the Department of Global Ecology at the Carnegie Institution for Science, which is here on campus. And part of the research that my research group does is develop tools to use data from the atmosphere to estimate the size of emissions of fossil fuels emitted by humans. And one of the studies we're just completing with some collaborators is showing that methane emissions from the Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Louisiana area are about 3-fold higher than what inventories would suggest. And it's that discussion that led to me being on this panel.
Hi, I'm Lee Zishi. I'm the Grassroots coordinator for Gasland. So pretty much my entire job is just connecting the movie with the people on the ground. Honestly, this tour would not happen without the Grassroots. You know, I'm one person and there's no way I could, get a tour together across 23 cities without. We've had amazing support from groups in your area, across the state and across the whole country to bring this film to you. So that's what I do. So my job is kind of ask you guys to help us out. Because Gasland was shared across this country, pretty much from neighbor talking to neighbor, from community to community, and now it's been shared across the entire world. So we really need your help doing that with Gasland too. So on July 8th, it's going to be on HBO. So if you have HBO, if you have a friend with HBO, Josh always says if you just want to go to a hotel that has HBO, invite a couple friends together. Because that's really how this is going to be shared. Just you talking to your neighbors, especially the neighbors who aren't here today. A lot of people look at this film like, oh, I'm not an environmentalist, this is not for me. But that's, not the case, obviously. This isn't a film for environmentalists. So you guys are the ones that are here in the room, and we can only reach you guys. We sent this message out, and this is who listened. But we really need you guys to help share that. So some of the ways you can do that, make sure you like us on Facebook. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. We have a sign up right outside the door that you can sign up for. Those things alone, they're not going to change public policy, but it's, we have to get this conversation going in as many circles as possible. So we really want you guys to be a part of that. If you're on campus here and you would like to be a campus representative for us, we would love that as well. So you can come find me at the end and we can talk about that. But yeah, if you have any questions about kind of connecting to the grassroots, I can help answer some of those. But definitely sign up on our sign-up sheet. Our handle on Twitter is Gasland Movie. And like us on Facebook, because that's the best way for us to talk to you guys and then give you the talking points that you can really bring out to your community so we can, do more than just talk and actually start to affect change.
I guess I'm just going to call on people. Who's got a question? Hands up. In the back.
How do we become activists when the EPA is ignoring us?
Well,
my daughter is into this, like getting a doctorate and can't get into a site to do research. What solutions do we have available?
well, you become an activist by simply saying, today I become an activist. And you start the path, okay, well, obviously. But it is my firm belief that EPA, science, and research is in full support of all the conclusions in this film. And what we saw for 2 years, 2.5 years, was EPA really charging forward and starting something that happened because people got together, not because of a film, because people got together and started petitioning the EPA. When they did their scoping process on fracking, when Lisa Jackson went and spoke to PowerShift in DC, you had people heckling her speech, and she had to acknowledge them. She says, oh, the fractivists are here. That public pressure made EPA go forward. And they did great work. And that work was taken away from them at a top level. What we're seeing here with your assembly and state senators is they're campaigning ferociously for a moratorium. And then you're seeing those bills get watered down. Where the citizens have to get involved is just to be as loud as you possibly can, as organized as you possibly can. When this started happening to me, I didn't know what was going on. I never took on oil and gas. I never thought about natural gas drilling, ever. But my neighbors, who quickly were becoming environmentalists, developed the alternative narrative to what the natural gas industry was saying. And all of a sudden we had a big debate going on in my community. I said, you know what, I gotta go out there and find out what's going on and contribute in some way. I'm a theater director and a filmmaker, so I said, well, maybe I'll make a 5-minute YouTube video. Obviously, I was just going a little bit further than that. So you never really know, but I think you have to apply yourself in whatever